What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcoming everybody to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell, and we are doing this show remotely from parts unknown. This is the reason that we were so late. Is because we have just finished a very, very long drive. But we're excited because Jimbo, we got some huge news while we were in that journey.
I'm being attacked by a bug.
That's what happens when you're in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. But we did get some awesome news during that ridiculously long drive that we just took on. And share the news, Jimbo.
Well, I appreciate you letting me be the one to break it. I'm sure you guys know by now, but the Ravens have agreed to terms with accomplished pass rusher, 97.5 career sack pass rusher. That is Justin Houston, the former Indianapolis Colt, former Kansas City Chief. And we cannot be more excited, Glenn. I was nervous about this. I thought it might not get done. I know that you had him penciled in. And I know that we were both pretty nervous, especially with the issues with Frank Clark and the potential that he could go, that something they could void his contract, being the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Houston could end up back there. So many variables here. The fact that we met with him in April and tomorrow's the first day of August.
Yep.
So, man, I couldn't be more happy. But Glenn, one thing I want you to talk about is we don't know a ton about the terms so far, the deal, but of what we do know, give us the deets.
Yeah, right now it looks to be a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million. We're not really exactly sure what he has to do to reach that $4 million. If it's incentives, whether it's sack totals or just linked to play time or what it is. But even if that's the case, even if it's $4 million, that's an absolute steal for a guy who he's getting a little bit older. He's 32 years old. But that hasn't yet to stop him from being productive and being healthy. The last 2 years, he's played every single game in Indy and had 8 sacks last year, 11 the year before that. I mean, that both of those would be leading the team if he was a Raven. So still productive, still healthy, and brings that veteran leadership that they were desperate to have. I mean, yeah, we got Pernell McPhee and Bowser, signs his second contract. He's a vet now. But, none of those guys bring the career accomplishments. This is a former All-Pro. This is a guy with 22 sacks in one season a few years ago. So this is an extremely accomplished guy, 5-time Pro Bowler, has done it all, has seen it all, and I think will be not just an excellent addition as far as production. I think he's going to be ultra productive here. Wink's going to be happy to see that guy walk in the room, but also the mentorship that he can give to Odafe Owe and Dalen Hayes to help bring those guys along with Pernell McPhee, teaching them what it is to play like a Raven. And Bowser, he's saying he needs to step up and become more of a vocal leader now that he's signed his extension, is going to be here for quite some time. So for 1 year, $4 million, Jimmy, Eric DeCosta did it again. Oh, every dollar counts. EDC did it again.
That's right. Just to put it in perspective, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Zeitler will be making more money this year than Justin Houston. That's not that he's not worth it. Obviously, there's value in having a former Pro Bowl guard, but we're talking about, like you said, Glenn, 8 sacks last year, 11 sacks the year before, extremely healthy, only 32. After I heard the news, while we were driving, had plenty of time to think. I was thinking out loud, and I just said these names in succession out loud as I was envisioning our defensive front. So I said, okay, Justin Houston, Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Derek Wolfe, and then you throw Metabike in there in the mix, and then you got Odafe on the other side.
Scary. Scary. It's amazing how adding one guy like Justin Houston totally changes the landscape. Better. I mean, it's insane because it was the clear-cut, weakest position on the roster. No doubt about it. It was not only the weakest at the top, but it was the weakest as far as depth. And now, I mean, just bringing him in, I mean, it totally changes it. I mean, absolutely change. But what I wanted to ask you, Jimbo, thinking about it in the car ride over as well, I'm thinking about the ramifications of bringing this guy in. What does that mean for the rest of the guys on the roster? Who does that now put on the bubble, or who does it force out of the team? So, Jimbo, what are your thoughts? Who is now should be a little bit concerned about their job security?
Yeah, I think this one was an easy one for me, and I want nothing but success for every player, especially every Raven. And I've heard recently he's been putting in work, but I can only at this point believe what I can see with my own two eyes. We're not, talking about theory here, right? So I think Jalen Ferguson has the target on his back as far as the most likely guy out the door based on this signing. And I think he should be really concerned. I think his career is on the line, certainly with the Ravens. Maybe another team will give him a shot, but I don't know how he looks physically yet. I haven't been able to, we'll get out to practice in the following week and take a look at him, but certainly I've never been impressed with his progression. You've talked about before, we've seen the progression of Mark Andrews as he's been a pro physically, like his appearance. You can see that he's putting in time in the weight room, moving a lot of heavy stuff. And, I just haven't seen the same thing with Ferguson. I don't know if it's happening and maybe it's just not manifesting itself. I don't know. And then obviously on the field production is a big deal, right? That's number one. You can look however you want, but if you can't produce on the field, that's what it is at the end of the day. And so, yeah, I think it's squarely the eye of Eric DaCosta and John. Well, really John and Eric. You're creating this roster, the rest of the coaches and staff. The eye is squarely on Jalen Ferguson. I mean, the other guys in those rooms are locks. You're talking about Tyus. Talking about the two rookies in Udafe and Dalen McPhee and obviously Justin Houston. So I don't think that we go thin somewhere else. I think it's right there. That's my thought. I think it's in the same position group.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Jalen is on the hottest of seats. And look, we haven't heard. I heard that when he first showed up to OTAs, this is a while ago, months ago, that he looked pretty good physically walking in the building. But since then, we haven't heard a single update. We know when we're hearing updates about Dalen Hayes and Udafe winning some one-on-one battles against the tackles on this team, still silent about Jalen Ferguson. Haven't heard much. So I think that, man, he would have to really do a lot to impress the coaches in this training camp and obviously in the preseason as well, because like you mentioned, those other guys are absolute locks. So if they're going to bring Jalen back on this roster, they're going to have to go thin elsewhere. And I just don't see – I can't imagine them going thin at spots like corner, because we heard the philosophy on corner. They believe it's, one of the very most important positions. They actually value coverage over pass rush. I mean, that's just how the Ravens analytics have come to, to tell them is coverage outweighs pass rush in their mind. So I don't think they're going thin at corner. I can't imagine them going thin at receiver when they brought in all this talent. So I just don't see a roster spot for him. Now, an injury could happen. We could have a rash of injuries at a specific position that then allows him to become, because, the Ravens like to take the best player. So if ultimately he ends up being the best guy because there's a rash of injuries at another position, then I think he's got a shot. But man, his seat is awfully hot. I am so excited to see Justin Houston in here. I mean, like when Wink Martindale was talking about how, sacks aren't that important. I mean, you can say that all you want, but when you're looking at those top teams in the AFC, you have to influence the passer. And when Pat Mahomes is comfortable, you're in big trouble. We saw him in the Super Bowl. He was not comfortable, and that's why the Tampa Bay Bucks ended up winning that game. So you have to influence the passer when you're playing those top echelon teams. So that's Tannehill and the Titans. That's Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. And now in the AFC North, you got to deal with Ben and the Steelers and your boy Baker and the Cleveland Browns. You got to influence those guys, get them off their spot, make them uncomfortable, and Justin Houston will do a lot to help us do that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's exactly where I was going to go with my point, is that he's the perfect guy he's made a career out of getting pressure on his own, right? Like not having, because you don't get 97.5 sacks having to depend on a scheme. You get 97.5 sacks beating the man in front of you or the two men in front of you.
I'll say 22 sacks. I bet he beat some double teams.
Right, but certainly there's not a reliance on a scheme or look, I'm just more athletic, more powerful, shiftier, faster. I'm better. I'm going to move you out of the way and get to the quarterback. Like that's what it is at the end of the day. And we need those guys exactly like you said, because we saw last year Mahomes, was surgical when we gave him time. Even with the best coverage guys, let's be honest, in the NFL today, the rules are set up to where the best corners are the ones that take the longest to fail. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is.
Only a matter of time.
Right, exactly, because the rules are slated that way. It's just the way that the league is going. And so with that in mind, we got to shorten that time. And so Dafe is fast. He's raw. Hopefully he can learn from Justin, and Justin knows how to get home to the quarterback. I also like, but the one thing I'll say about Jalen Hayes, the one thing that I was thinking about that could save him.
You mean Ferguson?
Sorry, Jalen Ferguson, is that that the team, that line, other than Udafe and Dalen, that's an old group. That's the only thing that I think they could say, all right, we're going to hold on to this kid. Maybe even
Bowser's still a young man. He's only, 25, 26?
But what I meant really was like if they move, because we've heard some whisperings about moving him to the inside.
Who's that?
Jalen Ferguson.
Yeah.
Right. So if they decide they want to do that, then the guys he's in that room with are relatively old.
Yeah.
So that might be his saving grace. But yeah. I'm not going to lose any sleep if he's on this team. If he's not on this team, I will lose zero sleep. I mean, I'm so excited because this guy is a Raven. I tell you what, coming off the bus with Ben Cleveland and Justin Houston as your first two guys people see, that's a problem.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Let Calais come on after.
Yeah, exactly. They certainly both have their mini fridges and their hotel rooms full of frozen toddlers that they eat before every game. Like they just look like, they're not regular humans. No,
absolutely not. They are big, strong, and fast, and we couldn't be more excited. Now, Justin Houston's not going to be on the field tomorrow. Obviously, they're off tomorrow, but he's not going to be on the field on Monday. There is a process. Obviously, the COVID procedures are in place. John Harbaugh was asked about him after practice, and he said that he has to get vaccinated. So he's still working on that, and that comes with a 5-day period after that vaccination. So hopefully, for our sake, selfishly, that he's back by Tuesday, August 10th, when we will be at training camp. I would like to see the guy out there. But regardless, this is a guy who's been in it a long time. Even if there is a slight delay getting him out there, fully confident he'll be ready to go when need be. Man, I'm just so happy because, I had him penciled in early, Jimbo, but I was starting to worry. I was starting to backpedal a little when I didn't see him by training camp, because I said, he'll certainly be here by training camp. And the more the days went on, I was worried about that team sliding in and giving him an offer he couldn't refuse. So to hear that the Ravens got him for $4 million in a year, it's absolutely mind-blowing. When you look at what, like the Browns, they go and get Jadeveon Clowney. This guy's hurt every single year, and they gave him it's such a steal, such a bargain to get a guy like him who's a great locker room guy. He's always healthy and ultra productive. What more could Eric DeCosta have done at this point in time in the season?
I absolutely agree. Eric DeCosta is knocking it out of the park, and this lessens the pressure to make a in-season trade because we go in more complete,
like they did with Ngakoue.
Exactly. So it lessens that desperation, right? That it scratches that itch. But let me ask you this to end the show, Glenn. Should I be more concerned with the signing of Justin Houston? Should I be more concerned that I'm going to end up eating my microphone cover? Like, will this take enough pressure off of Udafe to where he gets to 10? Or will Justin beat him there enough times to where he maybe doesn't get to 10?
I tell you this, it didn't help your cause, Jimbo. It certainly didn't help. Now, is he going to get to 10? That's a stretch for any rookie. But he certainly has the physical tools, but can he put it together and get it done on the field? That is still, in my opinion, a long shot. But man, Justin Houston certainly allows them to not, like, they can't just focus on him. They just can't do it. They have to respect what Justin Houston brings. And that certainly is going to help allow Udafe to see a lot of one-on-ones and some advantageous positions to maybe make you a little nervous, Jimbo.
And last thing, I did predict that Calais Campbell will have more sacks than Udafe Owe, didn't I?
Yeah, and if he does, I have to eat a McBanger.
That's right. And so
Live
this
on.
this certainly helps Calais.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, it helps everyone because Wink Martindale does a fantastic job of cycling guys in and out. This just gives him one more quality, healthy veteran to throw in the mix, and it gives everyone a little extra breather, and they can all be more productive because of that.
I just I cannot imagine it's a fun day at work if you're a tackle or a guard and you look up and you see Justin Houston and Calais Campbell.
Scary.
Yeah,
Scary.
it doesn't even matter that they're in
with his speed, his quickness, explosiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
it's going to be a lot of fun. Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm super happy he's here. Excited to see him in the black and purple. I give this one an A. Can you give it anything but an A, Glenn?
No,
especially based on the money. I mean, I thought it was a joke.
Believe it. And the fact of the matter is he might not even see the full 4. We haven't seen the details of the contract. It could be, sack totals, tied to the incentives. And I mean, it could end up being 3. I mean, it's just insane how the front office continues to do this. And look, he wanted to be here. Justin Houston, what did he say? Why did he want to come here, Jimbo?
Right, great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Justin Houston had made it clear that he wants to be a Baltimore. He got offers from other teams, and I'm sure they were for more money, but he got off. He decided to be a Baltimore Raven because he believes it gives him the best shot to win a Super Bowl ring this year. Of course, he's been chasing that, doesn't have one, has been on some great teams, but is looking to round out his career by getting some ice.
100 sacks and a Super Bowl, that gets him into the Hall of Fame in my book, and I think everyone else would agree. So all he needs is 2.5 sacks to get to 100. I think that's cakewalk for him. But yeah, let's let these guys go get him a ring and get him into the Hall. But let us know what you guys think. Was this another gem and a steal by Eric DeCosta? Are you excited? Does this mean that weakest position group has now been solved, or are you still thinking it might be a little thin? Let us know your guys' thoughts, and we'll talk soon.